Alright, UFC 292 fight week is finally here, guys. I'm here to break it down, the main event between Aljamain Sterling and Sean O'Malley. This is very much a grappler versus striking matchup where Aljamain Sterling is going to be trying his hardest to bring it to the ground, while Sean O'Malley is going to want to keep up that takedown defense, get his movement going, and keep it on the feet. It's a very simple matchup to break down, and I think we know what each fighter has to do, but who's better at their game? Is O'Malley that good of a striker that he could defeat good grapplers, or is Aljamain Sterling that good of a grappler that he can beat really good strikers? That is going to be the question going into this matchup, and there's a lot of questions because we don't know a lot about Sean O'Malley's ground game, and I'm going to be breaking down what we do know. But before I go into the matchup and I say what each fighter needs to do as well as giving my prediction, I want to remind you guys to hit the subscribe button, like, comment, and share because we're trying to hit 20K by the end of the year. That has been the goal since the beginning. I think we can make it if you guys could just hit the subscribe button to support. I would love that. So yeah, guys, let's talk about the matchup. Aljamain Sterling coming off of the victory of Henry Cejudo back in May, a pretty quick turnaround for him, but now he's got wins over Petr Yan, Henry Cejudo, Corey Sandhagen, the list goes on and on. Like, we got to start respecting this guy. I'm glad that the fight is happening where it is because Sean O'Malley isn't fighting some bum champ. Like, there's a lot of respect now for Aljamain. I think finally people are realizing that this guy is good. That first initial win for Petr Yan, it was a fluke performance, and now we've seen that he has improved massively. He's in his prime. How well is he going to do against Sean O'Malley? I'm going to break that down. So what does Aljamain need to do, in my opinion, to make this fight a win for him? Guys, this guy cannot go backwards. He cannot stay in the middle with Sean O'Malley because you cannot let Sean O'Malley get his game going. If you're going to be fighting Sean O'Malley's fight, that's difficult for anybody because Sean O'Malley is a really good fighter. He's a good striker, good at range. You want to make Sean O'Malley uncomfortable in there, and plus, especially when you consider, believe it or not, this is Sean O'Malley's first championship fight, despite a lot of big fights and a lot of big events that have had Sean O'Malley in it. This is his first title fight. This is the first time he's going to be going 5 rounds, and the first time he's scheduled to be going 5 rounds, I should say. So that's a big deal, and there's a lot of pressure on Sean O'Malley going into the matchup, especially the fact that he's a big underdog. You got to imagine the confidence probably favors Aljamain. I mean, of course, you know, Sean O'Malley's probably confident in his own right, but Sterling definitely has the momentum going into this fight, and Sean O'Malley's going to have to stop it. This is definitely Aljamain's fight to win. Everybody thinks he's going to win, so you got to imagine the confidence is with Aljamain Sterling. So mixing all that in, if you make Sean O'Malley uncomfortable and start to question, hey, why am I going backwards? I don't know if he's going to go for a takedown or go for a head kick or go for a punch to the head. If you're getting him in those uncomfortable situations, it's very hard to think. His heart rate's going to be racing. He's going to be going backwards, constantly looking for a takedown or looking for a punch, and then eventually you're just going to be able to break him and easily get him taken down or easily get him hit, whatever the case might be. You need him to be going backwards to make him feel uncomfortable, and Aljamain has to do his regular funky style, how he does, switching stances constantly. The guy will throw a leg kick, and instead of bringing his leg back, he'll just stay in that stance because the guy could switch stances back and forth. He's a very strong wrestler. I mean, we saw him take down Henry Cejudo in their fight. Henry Cejudo is an Olympic level wrestler, guys. Like, if he can take down Cejudo, he's going to be able to take down O'Malley in those positions. I don't care. I'm sure the height of O'Malley is going to help him, which I'm going to talk about when I talk about O'Malley, but you got to worry. You got to just make him really uncomfortable. And I think if he really pressures O'Malley, gets O'Malley's back to the fence, I think we're going to immediately see him shoot for a takedown, maybe a single leg, maybe a double leg, maybe he turns the single leg into a double leg. But then I think we're going to see him take down Sean O'Malley, and then that's really up to O'Malley. Can he defend against submissions on the ground? How good is he on the ground? Those are all the questions I'm talking about, and I'm going to bleed this into the O'Malley section of the video. What does O'Malley have to do? He is a big underdog, but so was he against Petr Yan. So he's proven people wrong before. Can he do it again? Let's talk about it. Sean O'Malley, number one, has to keep this on the feet, of course. Aljamain is the better grappler. Maybe there is a scenario where O'Malley can hang with him on the ground. We don't know, but I think the best game plan and the smartest game plan is to keep it on the feet, of course. But the thing with O'Malley that's really hard for this matchup is kicks are going to be a big no. We've seen Aljamain before catch kicks and then drag his opponents to the ground with them. And, you know, obviously Sean O'Malley is a guy that likes to throw a lot of kicks. I think body kicks are definitely a big no. I think head kicks are a big no. And spinning kicks are a definite huge no in this matchup. Because like we saw with Alexa Grasso and Valentina Shevchenko, Valentina threw a spinning back kick to the body, where Alexa Grasso hopped on the back of Valentina Shevchenko and choked her out there. I can imagine Aljamain and his camp really training that kind of drill for O'Malley because O'Malley is a guy that likes to spin a lot. So I think spinning attacks are a big no. It's not worth the risk, especially against someone like Aljo who is so good at getting your back and submitting you there. We saw him do it to Corey Sandhagen in less than 2 minutes. So I think the fight's going to come down to boxing for Sean O'Malley. I think he's going to have a really good jab, get some respect early from Aljamain Sterling so he's not just pushing him backwards. Because we've seen Aljamain, you know, have a lot of pressure over opponents like Henry Cejudo. And although his style looks flawed at times, it's hard when someone is pressuring you in a big main event where this is supposed to be your moment. Aljamain is letting you know, hey, this is my octagon, this is going to be my fight. A lot of times people, you know, they get anxious, they get worried instead of thinking, how can I get out of this situation? And that is something that O'Malley has to do, really get some composure. That is something that is a little bit harder to do. Like, this isn't necessarily something you could train. It is something that probably helps with more and more experience, but it isn't necessarily something you're able to train over a training camp. I'm sure there's some things you could do do some breathing exercises, etc. But for the most part, this isn't really something that you could change. And that is going to be a massive advantage that Sterling has. He's been in these situations. So I think OMalley has to get respect early and say, hey, you know, I could belong here too. You have to be worried about me at all times and get respect. We've seen him land big left hands to Petr Yan and gain respect from Petr Yan, have him backing up. That is something that is really good because Petr Yan has some of the best pressuring in the game. So if OMalley, for even that little bit of time, backed up Petr Yan, he needs to do that for Aljamain Sterling. I think he needs to be really good with the jab and be very patient. You can't put too much out on Aljamain Sterling. Otherwise, you know, you might counter a big left hand, duck under it, and go for a takedown. You have to be careful in that regard. He needs to kind of channel that inner Israel Adesanya of his, kicking at range, jabbing at range, leg kicks, because I think leg kicks can be fine as long as he doesn't over telegraph those shots, because that could be a big problem, and we could see Sterling catch a leg kick and go for a takedown. But I think leg kicks are fine, especially inside leg kicks that are fast. So as long as they're like fast leg kicks that you're not, you know, winding up so much, I think it should be fine for Sean O'Malley. But I want to talk about the winner. Who do I think is going to win this fight? What is my prediction, guys? It is prediction time. I think you guys probably know it, but it is going to be Aljamain Sterling. Listen, I just think that Aljamain, this is his time. This is his moment. He's in his prime. This is also O'Malley's first main event, his first 5-rounder, his first championship fight. The pressure's on him. And let alone all that, let's talk about skill. We saw Aljamain Sterling take care of Corey Sandhagen within 2 minutes, and honestly, if you look at a 2020 Corey Sandhagen, he's pretty similar to Sean O'Malley. May I even say he might be even better. And O'Malley is a guy that is dedicated to going on the back foot. He was on the back foot with Pedro Munoz, on the back foot with Petr Yan, but of course he's a great pressure fighter. Even at times on the back foot against Raulian Paiva. So Aljamain, a guy that pressured Henry Cejudo, a guy that pressures a lot of these top guys, he's going to be able to put Sean O'Malley on that back foot, and I think he's going to be too comfortable on that back foot. I think we're going to see Aljamain go for that takedown, eventually set it up, and I think we're going to see him submit Sean O'Malley. I think it's going to happen early. I think it's going to happen in the first or second round. I think the only shot that Sean O'Malley has at beating Aljamain Sterling is perhaps by a knockout, by a really good knockout, by catching Aljamain Sterling, but I just don't think he's going to be able to have so much power on that back foot, especially at that pace that Aljamain is going to be pushing him at, where there isn't going to be a chance where Sean O'Malley is going to be able to plant his feet. Maybe there is, and that's probably going to be a risky exchange, but he might just do it in the pocket and risk it. But other than that, I think that we're going to see Aljo forcing O'Malley to move, and O'Malley has great movement, don't get me wrong, but you're not going to be able to plant your feet and land much power if you're moving around constantly, especially on the back foot, especially if your back is against the cage. I just see Aljamain getting that takedown. I think he's going to finish him in 1 round, and I hate saying that. I know that's what everybody is saying, and I hate agreeing with everybody because it kind of makes it seem like I'm just, you know, spitting out what everyone else is saying, but I just think it's true. I think it's what's going to happen. I think in the first, maybe second round, the big question mark for me is how good is O'Malley on the ground? We did see him do a grappling match where he did do pretty decent. You know, he did have some good exchanges. He did get a guillotine in that grappling match, and the rumor on the street is that Sean O'Malley has some pretty good jiu-jitsu. I believe he's a purple belt, maybe he's a brown belt now even, but Aljamain, he's a black belt. He's a really good jiu-jitsu guy. Even off his back, he's dangerous. So I think he's going to be able to take down Sean O'Malley at some point in the fight, and I think once it's on the floor, I think Aljo just has that good jiu-jitsu. So I'm going to be going with Aljamain Sterling by submission, guys. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Who do you guys think is going to win this match? I'm going to be putting out some more videos about Amanda Lemos versus Weili Zhang, as well as the featured bout between Marlon Vera and Pedro Munoz, Ian Gary versus Neil Magny. Now that's a new matchup. Chris Weidman versus Brad Tavares. I mean, the card is stacked. Guys, let me know in the comment section below. What do you guys think? Thank you guys for watching, guys. The best fan base in MMA, and I'll see you guys in the next one.